not a game, it's a rich thing.
And welcome back to the Busy Fan. Today we got some coverage for you about college football. We'll let you know what's happening there, some news that's come out, and some reports from coaches and things. We got some NBA breakdowns for you. We'll let you know what games matter as we have 2 days left in the bubble regular season until we get to the playoffs. So we'll let you know what games are important and what games don't really matter and what teams are already locked in. We got some NHL news for you and a little bit of MLB action as well. So let's get right into it because we're all busy. So we're going to start with the college football news. This is pretty big news that the Big 12 came out and just reaffirmed that they are trying to have a fall season. Now, everyone who hasn't come out saying that they're having a spring season is currently planned to have a fall season. So this isn't like huge news. It's not like definitive or by any means. Things could definitely get worse and things could definitely change, but it is pretty comforting to hear a major Power Five conference come out and say, "Hey, we are planning on the fall. We're looking for the fall." Also, Clemson's head coach, Dabo Swinney, he came out and said he thinks that a championship this year for the conferences that are still in the fall season will be just as relevant as a championship any other year. He honestly has a really good point because as long as the SEC and the ACC are in, most of the playoff teams come from those divisions every year anyway, so it should be pretty legit. But I don't bring that up to bash on conferences or anything. Really, I just bring it up as a point of, hey, they really are trying to do this without the Big Ten and the Pac-12. How do the Big Ten and Pac-12 feel about that? I don't know. Maybe they're kind of feeling like crap. We should have held off, or maybe they are really just thinking that everyone's going to follow them eventually, so that they're happy that they were first movers in this movement. So who knows? That's some college football news for you. What's going on? If the spring season happens, I don't think it'll be good at all. Like good quality football. All the NFL talent will sit out. Also, how are you supposed to play spring football and then turn around and play fall football afterwards? The amount of hitting that happens in a game is nowhere near or is so much greater than the amount of hitting that happens in like spring practices and everything like that. So we'll see. We'll see how if there is a spring league and a fall league, how they merge back to being one league again next fall. It's just if you're preaching player safety, it better be safe for the people who played in the spring. But I'm not a scientist. I don't know the details or anything. Just things that people need to be thinking about for sure. So that's your college football news. Let's move on to the NBA. Today, the big news in the NBA was the Clippers versus Nuggets. That was the big game. This was a battle for the 2 seed. If the Clippers won, they locked it away. If they lost, then they opened the door and gave the Nuggets a chance to take it. Clippers, it was a pretty close game all throughout, but Clippers ended up winning by a decent margin at the end. Kawhi looked really good. Kawhi is scary good. It's like now the playoffs are coming around. Teams better watch out. He doesn't do anything during the regular season, and then when playoffs happens, he just turns it on. Most of the seeding in the West and the East are already locked in. The 4 and 5 could switch in each conference, but that doesn't really matter because they would just play each other. So not a huge deal there. Um, the important stuff is the play-in game. Who has a chance to make it into the play-in game? In the Eastern Conference, nobody does. It'll just be the top 8 seeds move on. In the Western Conference, we still have the Trailblazers, Grizzlies, Suns, and Spurs all vying for those 2 spots. Right now, the Trailblazers are in the 8th seed. If they are able to win their next game, they lock that up and they'll make it to the playing game. The Grizzlies, Suns, and Spurs are all tied right now. They're all 20 games behind first, and so really the next couple days are super important for them to be able to uh, make it and play in that playing game. So that's what we're going to be watching. That's what's important, and that's what's going on in the NBA. So moving on from the NBA. Oh, never mind. Not moving on from the NBA. Real fast, just wanted to bring up Giannis Antetokounmpo. He was suspended for headbutting some player I've never heard of, just out of frustration. Some random player on the Wizards. They were walking by, and he just gave him a little headbutt there. He was suspended for their last regular season bubble game, so no playoff suspension or anything. Kind of a joke. Like I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he's grateful for that suspension. So good for you, NBA, for handing out that suspension, I guess, but it's completely meaningless. But something to talk about. Something people might be talking about. Let's move on to the MLB real fast. In the MLB world, um, things are pretty even right now. There's no like real runaway. This team is the best. The Yankees are definitely up there. The Rockies are playing surprisingly well right now. So there's a few like really good teams. But big news is the Astros, of course. So a couple days ago, one of the Astros batting coaches, he started talking with a player from the A's. The player had just gotten hit. He took first base and he's kind of mouthing off. He was telling the pitcher like, "Hey, you need to throw it like this, like turn your wrist or it won't break and you're gonna keep freaking hitting me. So turn your wrist." And the guy's like, "Who are you to talk to me?" And the assholes were kind of getting heated and he's like, "I just got hit with a freaking baseball. Like, I'm gonna teach that guy how to pitch so I don't have to get hit again." So that's going on. He's talking. He gets to first base. One of their hitting coaches starts yelling at him. The A's player claims he said something about his mom. The Astros coach said that never happened. But anyway, they start going back and forth. And then the Astros coach steps out of the dugout and like calls at the guy to come charge him and fight him. So he does, and he gets tackled by a million Astros, and there's a big brawl and all exciting baseball stuff. But today they handed out a 20 game suspension to that coach. I kind of love it because the Astros haven't been punished enough. Coaches really have no business, especially not even a manager. This is just a coach who had no business starting a brawl here. But 20 games in a 60 game season, that's one third of the season that this guy's suspended for. So that's the largest suspension ever handed out to a coach, not a manager, but a coach, largest suspension handed out. We love when things happen to the Astros, bad things happen to the Astros. So I thought it would be newsworthy. Also in the NHL, again, NHL stays up so late that am never able to watch the last game. But the Avalanche beat the Coyotes 3-0. As expected, the Flyers beat the Canadiens 2-1. And both of those were first games of the series. So we'll keep you updated on what's going on in the NHL there. Keep you up to date on everything college football. Always exciting drama coming out of there right now. We'll let you know the NBA news that's coming out and keep you up to date on the MLB as well. Keep being a busy
It's not a
fan.
game, it's a rich team.